So how much does it actually cost to live in Brickell, Miami in 2025? Let's get into it. When I was trying to get an idea of everything I should know before moving to Miami, I was watching YouTube videos, as one does, and I came across a video where the guy stated, "Don't come to Miami if you're not a baller." And that sentence has stayed with me all this time, so let's find out if he was right. Today I'm going to be discussing all the costs of living in this specific area of Miami. We're going to talk about rent, groceries, going out for dinner, fun activities, self-care, gym memberships, everything. Let's get into it. So, a little bit of background information. Hi, my name is Rosa and I moved to Miami about 8 months ago with my husband. We moved from the Netherlands, so it was quite a big move and it was also a big change in expenses. I have been making videos to document our time here, and viewers have not been afraid to point out that they think that we have moved to quite an expensive city, but how expensive is it really? So, if you're in the same boat I was 8 months ago and you're doing research on what to expect, or if you're just curious, stay tuned. First, let's talk about rent, because this is the thing that we definitely spend the most money on. Rent can vary a lot, of course, based on where you live, how big your apartment is, the amenities that the building has, and stuff like that. So rent definitely varies a lot based on the location of the building. So when looking online at rented apartments, you see that definitely the apartments that are near water, that have like an ocean view or a river view, have way higher rents than apartments that have less of a view or more of a city view. So it's just something to keep in mind. Decide for yourself if you care a lot about view or if that is something that you would maybe want to save some money on in rent. So in doing a little bit of research for this video, I found that studios tend to range from $1,700 a month to around $3,000 a month. I've seen one-bedroom apartments range from about $2,300 a month to $6,000 a month. And I've seen two-bedroom apartments from around $3,000 a month to around $9,000. So as you can see by these ranges, there's a lot of variety. So there's also definitely a chance that you can find something that suits your needs and your budget, although it might take some time and a little bit of thorough searching. Most of the apartments that I saw were within these ranges, but there are definitely more expensive apartments available as well. You can definitely go as crazy as you would like. So for example, I also saw a one-bedroom apartment that was $8,500 a month, and I saw a two-bedroom apartment that was $1,100 a month. So there are definitely some outliers to these ranges, and you can for sure make it as luxurious as you want. There's also a lot of luxury buildings in Miami, so if your budget allows and you want to, you can make it as luxurious as you want. We personally spend $3,750 a month in rent for a one-bedroom apartment that is 816 square feet. I have also uploaded a Miami Brickell apartment tour that I will link on the top right of the screen if you want to take a look. Okay, so now let's talk about groceries. There are 3 Publix grocery stores in Brickell, so they're very popular. They're just great. Personally, we go to the Whole Foods that is just across the bridge in downtown. We go to Whole Foods about once a week to get all our groceries sorted for the week, and then we end up spending about $200 to $300 per week, depending on if we also get spices and olive oil and things like that. That is quite a high grocery budget, but we also do shop at Whole Foods, which is just in general quite an expensive grocery store. And we tend to buy things that are organic and grass-fed, etc. So it's definitely possible to maintain a lower grocery budget than ours. Okay, but what if you don't want to cook your own food? You don't want to go grocery shopping? What if you want to go out to a restaurant? So luckily for us, it is a very, very good place to be in Brickell if you love to go out to restaurants. There are loads of amazing restaurants in Brickell that are walking distance. They're really great options for going out to dinner, but going out to restaurants can also get quite expensive. In Brickell, there are some amazing high-end restaurants, but they can easily have you rack up a bill that is $150 to $250 per person. And this will then include appetizers, a main, sides, drinks, and a shared dessert. These are places like Lafayette, LPM, Nusr-Et, and Dirty French. A little bit below that range would be places like the Capital Grille and Consentido, which is still super good food and not cheap, but a little bit below the prices of these super high-end places. One of the things that can really rack up a high bill at a restaurant are drinks. So cocktails tend to be anywhere from $20 to $30, which can really add up if you have a couple. So my biggest tip to save some money if you really love cocktails is to find a nice happy hour. Really, a lot of places do happy hour, most of the time between the hours of 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. and they often cut the prices of drinks in half, which is a great deal. But the days and exact time differ per place. In research for this video, I actually found a website which lists a lot of happy hours in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, so I'll link it in the description. This is not sponsored or anything, but I just thought it was a nice website. So if you love cocktails and you want to find a nice happy hour, check it out. Some places that I know do happy hour are Trulux, Dolores, but you can call me Lolita, Novacento, and Better Days, but there's loads. But in regard to not spending too much money when going out for dinner in Brickell, there are also some really great, more affordable places where you can have a really nice dinner. These are places like Novacento and Momi Market, specifically for sushi. These are not too expensive, but still super delicious. So the question is now, of course, how do you get to your restaurant reservation? So one thing that I absolutely love about Brickell is that it's super walkable. Everything is really close together. You got everything you need within walking distance of each other. And there is actually quite decent public transport. So thus far, we have not personally bought a car here. We do everything by foot, or sometimes we take an Uber if there's something that we want to do that is really a drive away. But not too long ago, when my friend was here and wanted to come visit me by car, it was such a pain to find him a parking spot because it was so expensive. This is definitely something to keep in mind if you do have a car. Try to find an apartment that has a parking space so that you're not spending super much money trying to park your car anywhere. And do consider this as well if you ever want to go somewhere, that parking can be like, it can cost an arm and a leg, basically. So just keep this in mind. Really consider if you need a car to get around, and if you do want to bring your car or get a car here, try to find an apartment that has a parking spot so that you're not spending too much money trying to park your car anywhere. Another thing that you should know about Brickell is that a lot of people are really into fitness and health. So let's talk about the cost of gym memberships and workout classes. In regard to gyms, Equinox seems to be the most popular, but it is quite expensive in my opinion. It costs $245 per month to have a membership at just one club. And if you do want to access all the clubs in South Florida, you pay $252 a month. If you do decide to go to Equinox, it is good to know that there are 4 locations in Miami, so that's really nice. But if you're looking for a little bit more of an affordable option, there's also an LA Fitness, and that will cost you around $40 to $50 a month. And that's right across the street from one of the Equinox locations in the middle of Brickell. That's in the Miami Brickell village. I'm talking more specifically about the prices of gyms because that's what I was looking for and that's what I did research on. But there are also plenty of other workout classes that you can follow in Brickell. There's places for Pilates, like SolidCore. There's places for cycling, like SoulCycle. And there's other workout classes like OrangeTheory and F45. Personally though, I was looking for a nice gym that was within walking distance from my apartment because that routine I also used to do in the Netherlands and it really means a lot to me. So if I could, I would have liked my gym to be walking distance. And in the end, I chose to go to Powerhouse in downtown, which was definitely a little bit of a walk, but worth it in my opinion because it's so nice. It's such a big gym. It has amazing equipment. It's just honestly my dream gym. It's beautiful. And it is a little bit more affordable than Equinox, although very similar. It costs $150 per month. This is definitely quite a high price for what I'm used to in the Netherlands, but there's just no comparing because everything is just more expensive here. Okay, so let's get to walking a little bit, and while we do, let's talk about the prices of self-care services. So for example, haircuts. I haven't personally had a haircut here because I'm honestly scared of the price. Because when I get my haircut in Amsterdam, it's usually around 80 euros. And I think that's already quite expensive. And I've heard some of my friends here that go and get their hair cut and colored and will walk out with a bill that is no less than $300 before tips. So that honestly scares me a little bit. And my husband, where he used to pay like 30 euros per haircut, he here easily pays between $60 and $80 per haircut, excluding tip. Something to keep in mind with these services as well is that you're expected to tip at least 20 to 30%. So don't forget, because that adds up. Something to also keep in mind that hair removal, for example waxing, could cost you about $85 for full legs or $40 to $60 for the bikini area, depending on what you get done. But a lot of these places has memberships in place, so if you know that you're going to do it more often, you can get like a little bit of a discount. So keep an eye out for that if you're interested. So in regard to nails, I personally do not get my nails done, but I have some information from a friend that might be of any use to you. She went to a super fancy nail salon in Miami and she paid, I think, $300 for a gel mani-pedi, which came as a bit of a shock to her. So in regard to my research, as far as I could find, a manicure could be between $75 to like $200, depending on how crazy you want to get. So definitely do your research. And for all of these services, it makes sense to find a salon that you love and that is a price that you are okay with, because it can really add up, especially if you get that service done every 3 to 4 weeks. So after all this walking around in the sun and talking, I'm really in the mood for a cold drink. Luckily, one of my favorite coffee spots is really close by, so let's make a stop there. So I'm sitting at one of my favorite spots in Brickell Cortadito with my little iced matcha latte. I've actually never had one with almond milk from here before, so... Oh, it's super sweet. I didn't think it was gonna be sweetened. It's really nice, but... I think the almond milk is sweetened. It's super delicious though. Okay, anyway, getting back to the point. So, I wanted to take a moment here to draw our conclusion together. So, living in Brickell is not cheap. Miami in general is not a cheap place to live, but I think it also really depends on what kind of life you want to live, where you get your groceries, where you want to live, if you go out to dinner a lot, if you like to have a lot of cocktails, it can really add up. So you might want to take that into consideration for your budget. But as a rough estimate, I think we spent about $7,000 a month to live here, which I know is quite a lot. This also takes into account that we go out to dinner about twice a month, and we do get some takeaway coffees or matchas quite often because that's just something we really enjoy. And this also does take into account that we get quite expensive groceries from like quite an expensive grocery store. So you can definitely spend less, but you can also definitely spend more. I always say that Miami is a great place to spend money because if you want to, you can very easily like spend a lot of money. You can rent a boat, you can go out for dinner, have super luxurious night, go out, party. It can really get as crazy as you want it to be. So in conclusion, I do understand what that guy was trying to say in that video about how you have to be a baller to live in Miami. It's definitely not a cheap place to be, and fun things and activities can really crank up your expenses. So although you don't have to make like 10K a month to live here, I do think it's really important to be well informed about how expensive it can be to live here, especially because I think it's important to be able to do fun things once in a while and get that overpriced latte because it brings you joy. So with that, I hope to have given you a little bit of insight in what it actually costs to live in Brickell, Miami in 2025. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you did like this video, please click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!